Sierra, President Spear, AFA, AISA, Unexcused, BSA, GSA, IRC, LASA, RHA, Unified Council, UPC, Unexcused, Dr. Schmidt,
Here.
Dr. Willis.
All right, we will move on to adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve? Senator Stein? All those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda is approved. Likewise with the minutes, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on, or I apologize. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Howell?
So moved.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved.
Mike.
All right, we will go on to open forum item A. Dr. Michael
I'd
Holbeck,
like
the
to
Vice
know
President
why
for Finance and Budget.
All right, are we good? All right. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Mike Holbeck. I serve as the Vice President of Finance and Budget here at SDSU. A little bit about myself. I've been on the team here for 18 years now at SDSU. I am a SDSU alum, so my undergraduates are math and ag business, and then a master's in economics, and then I came back about a decade ago and got my PhD in sociology. So been here for a long time, love the campus, and just really excited to talk to this team today. My first slide is a thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the time you invest in this campus. It matters, it makes a difference. And the story I always talk about when I talk to this group is my experience here as a student. So I wasn't in SA, I didn't sit in your chairs, but the people that sat in your chairs made a difference with the Wellness Center. So when I was a student here, you could work out in the basement of the Hyper between 5:45 and 6:15 if you weren't an athlete. Your other option was in the barn. They had like this 1960s workout equipment there. Those were the only two places you could work out on this campus. But people like you that sat in your chairs made the decision to invest in the Wellness Center and in the experience here at SDSU. And that's made a difference. It started getting built at the end of my career as a student here, but I know it's impacted generations going forward. So thank you for what you do and the impact you make. For my agenda, I thought I'd just talk about a couple big picture items, and then I can take questions. Just talk big picture university funding, how we're funded, where does the money come from. Second, national higher education outlook. It's an interesting time in higher education financially. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then talk about what's happening here on campus with enrollment and retention, and then a quick outlook going forward. Big picture funding, our operating budget about $387 million. We divide that into three buckets. So university proper is probably what you're most familiar with. Think of the teaching in the classroom and the education that goes on here on campus. We also have Ag Experiment Station, which gets spent here on campus, but we also have sites throughout the state that do ag research. And then SDSU Extension. Think of that outreach portion of our mission, disseminating that knowledge. Think of things like 4-H. Those are kind of the three entities that make up the university. As far as where the money comes from, state funds, about $100 million of it. Tuition and fees, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, about $116 million of it, so that's about another 30%. In the middle there's federal grants and contracts, so we receive some money that goes directly to AES and the experiment station, but then there's also competitive grants that our faculty are awarded. The other blue bucket there is kind of everything else that gets lumped in, other funds. So think of everything from selling cattle off the farm to football tickets to t-shirts at Jackrabbit Central make up that part. And then room and board, think of your housing and your food services is the operating portion of that. There's also bond in it. If we look around higher education, it's an interesting time. So if you go back to 2007, 2008, there was a great financial recession. And what happened during that recession is less children were born. Well, why does that impact higher education? Well, we can see our typical college-age student coming about 18 years in advance. That's a good thing, but when it's a drop, you have time to prepare for it. So those less children born in 2007, 2008 are now less typical college-age children here in 2025 and 2026. And this is happening throughout the country. We knew it was coming. You can see the demographic data. It's going to be especially tough on the East Coast. So if you've seen schools closing over there, they have a huge drop in their typical college age going students. But it also happens here at home. And so these are some newspaper clippings. Again, we never cheer against anybody in higher education. I want everybody to be successful. But when I pull this slide up at our management team, I also want to understand the context that we're in right now in higher education. So University of Nebraska, Lincoln, just right down the road, $28.5 million in budget cuts. St. Cloud cutting degree programs. Western Illinois is a really tough time right now cutting staff and that. So my purpose is just to show that this is what we're in right now in higher education. We saw it coming. We knew it was going to impact us. And this is what's happening around the country. We go to that next slide and we look at what's happening here at home. We really saw the data coming, and Dr. Willis, one of her first things here was implement a strategic enrollment management plan back in about 2017, 2018. And so that dealt with marketing, our scholarship grid, retention investments. And so you can see there what's happening around the country is a little bit different here. We're very fortunate that we've had 3 of our 5 largest freshman classes in the history of SDSU in the last 3 years. We did see a drop there. I mean, you can see that trend was going down from 17 to 21, but we were able to turn that and have some of the best classes we've had numbers-wise. If you go to the next slide here, the other thing we talk about a lot is retention. So what's retention? Retention is, were you a freshman, and then did you come back for your sophomore year? If yes, then you were retained. If no, you weren't. Our goal probably 10 years ago was to try to hit 80%, and it seemed like a stretch to get 80% of the freshmen to come back. As an access institution, that would have been a really good number. And you can see back in fall 17, 18, we were in that 76, 77% retention rate. But over the last 3 years, we've had our 3 best retention numbers in history. So right around 83% and all the way up to 83.8 last year. So again, a little bit different than that national narrative you're seeing. So why does this matter? Why is the finance guy talking about enrollment and that? Well, you saw the first slide. Enrollment is obviously very important to our revenue system. The other thing, when you think about higher education from a business standpoint, a lot of our costs are sunk. If you think of a classroom that has 30 people there, you've got to have the mortgage or the bond on the building. You've got to have the utilities on. You've got the teacher at the front of the classroom. If you go from 30 to 15 students in that classroom, your revenue got cut in half. But your cost structure didn't change that much. It's still, you still have to have the building, you still have to have that professor in the front of the classroom, you still have to have the utilities on. So that's why it's so tough for higher education to adjust there. And so that's why enrollment, I always lead with that, because that is the biggest variable that we have. So financially, how did we end the year? We ended 25 in a solid financial position. We were able to maintain and improve our ratios. We've got a variety of ratios, everything from what the Board of Regents requires of us, to our bondholders who give us the dollars that we bond on our systems, to our Higher Learning Commission accreditation. And we were able to maintain or improve those. Cash-wise, we improved a little bit, pretty flat to slightly better, and that may not seem exciting, but really what we're all about is our mission. And if you think about those last 3 years, we had our largest freshman class, retained them at the highest level, and maintain that financial stability. And that's the why we're here. And those things will impact our state as we're able to retain students and recruit students. Those will lead to higher graduation rates and then more people going out in the workforce. So been a really good last couple of years. Financially, it's been unexciting, but that's a good thing when you look around the country that ours hasn't been exciting. We haven't had to take those base cuts over the last couple of years that others have. I'm looking forward to FY26 and going forward. I always talk to our board about continuing to balance that quality with affordability. Affordability is important. It's part of what we do. We want access to higher education, but we've got to balance that with a quality experience. And so We had years of tuition freezes. The state helped us fund tuition freezes, so they gave us, in a typical year, you've got state funds and tuition, and the state will give you dollars for the inflation on state, and then you raise tuition. Well, in those tuition freezes years, the state gave us dollars for the state, and they gave us dollars for tuition, so we were able to hold tuition flat. So we had done that for a number of years. This year, we did have a tuition increase about 2.9%, but when you look around us, there was a lot of states at 4 and a few at 7. So it felt good with where we're at, but also needed to make sure that we were able to maintain that quality that we need to make sure it's a good experience. So that's what we'll do from a finance perspective going forward, continuing to balance that, and then continuing to invest in our infrastructure. If you were around this summer, you probably noticed the big dig on the side of the Union, huge hole working on underground infrastructure. We'll continue to invest in those buildings to make sure they're there for the next generation. The other topic I had on my next slide is the GAF reallocation. So you all have an interesting point in time. If you think of our general activity fee, there's dollars that go to different groups, and they go to operations, and they go to utilities, and then a portion of them go to bond. And so this coming year, we'll have our last bond payment of our Series 2006 bonds. This is a wellness center bond, and so that'll come off. And so that'll give you all the opportunity to decide, does it drop our GAF rate, or do we reinvest those into dollars to enhance that experience for students? And so they don't happen all that often. You only pay off bonds every so often. So it is a unique opportunity to invest without increasing that price of the general activity fee. So I just think that's important to think about the period of time, because it doesn't happen all the time where you have bonds coming out.
I really appreciate you all having me today.
My last slide, and then I can take questions, is I really appreciate you all having me today. I really appreciate what you do and letting me hang out with your team for a while. I'm happy to take questions here, but also I can leave my card and contact information. If you have questions that you'd rather ask offline or that, feel free to reach out and let me know how I can help. But otherwise, I'll take questions if anybody has any.
What is that bond payment currently on the GAF? I always have a question. I'm curious, what is that bond payment currently on the GAF that is going to go away?
I think it's $1.83 per credit hour is available out of that. So,
Thanks.
yep. And we did have one come off last year. So I said it's rare. We hadn't had one for a long time. We actually had to go through the board reading and say, what's the policy? And so Dr. Willis has worked on, here's what we need to do with Heather at the board office. And I'm working through that process. But yeah, we did have it last year also with the union, and this group invested those dollars. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all you do. Appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all you do. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to open forum item B. We have the HERO representatives here. I'm sorry if I say your last names wrong. Jada Paul, Lindsay Junker, and Rose Nett.
So first off, we'd like to thank everybody for welcoming us tonight. Like Sophie said, my name is Jada Paul. I'm one of the co-presidents of HERO. With me, I also have Lindsay Junker, our other co-president, and then Rose Nett, who would be our prospective ex-officio representative. HERO stands for Helping Everyone Reach Optimal Health. We are a peer health educator group, and we are associated with the Wellness Center, and we are here to speak about how we believe we could represent HERO on the SA board.
Hi, as Jada said, I'm Lindsay Junker, the co-president of HERO, which is helping everyone reach optimal health. So I'm just going to give a little overview of the club so you know what we entail and what it all entails. So we work to reach out to students of all ages and at all points in their health to promote overall well-being from every aspect, from financial health, physical health, mental health, social health, basically anything, just your overall well-being. So we put on different events with speakers discussing how to stay safe or practical ways that they can put into use to promote their health. So we work to create a community in which others can meet other people who are passionate about developing practical skills that they can keep throughout their life, promoting their health and inspiring others too. So we really focus on community and reaching out to everyone. Everyone is welcome to all our events that we put on, whether it's just coming to one and checking it out or being a regular member. And we do not have a cost for our members, and we just want people to come and learn, even if it's just at one meeting, something that they can use down the line, whether it's mental health services or sexual health lessons, and we've done self-defense, just a lot of things that focuses on the student themselves. So next I'm going to hand it over to Rose Nett, our prospective ex officio.
As they said, I am Rose Nett. I would be the ex officio for Hero. We believe that having an ex officio for Hero would be a great connection between the Senate and Hero, because some things that we do are very important is spreading mental health and physical health, and especially this is important in our everyday life, especially in everything we do, especially like spreading, like managing our stress and everything like that. And we believe that this connection can help us like get it out to the student body and especially the campus and community. Does anybody have any questions for us?
Are you funded through the Wellness Center then, or what do you?
No, we get our funding mainly through our own fundraisers and then whatever the SA board grants us.
How many members do you have in total?
Currently, we have about 20 to 30 stable members who are at every meeting, but then we also have a giant email list of people who are interested in our club and learning more about how they can better their well-being on campus.
I just have a statement, that's what Professor Chu. Talk for 5 minutes and there's no question. I'm a professor, I don't have a question, I just have a statement, that's what professors do. Talk for 5 minutes and there's no question. Well, what I wanted to do is give a little, most of you are probably aware of this. Hero had been an ex officio at the Student Association for many, many years. I'm not sure, it's been a couple of years since they weren't, and I don't know why that was, so maybe if somebody looked back in the notes, if it was from lack of attendance, or if SA decided to not have them as an ex officio. But just historically speaking, they have been an ex officio for many, many years.
So when Jada and I joined the club, it was kind of dwindling out, or attendance was definitely decreasing. So this year we really worked to reach out to everyone, make it known that everyone's included, and just promoting a general sense of well-being that anyone can be in, not just health majors. I think there was a lot of misconceptions out there, so our attendance dropped, but we've really worked by changing meetings to being located at the Union instead of the Wellness Center, just for convenience, instead of walking out there in the snow, and reaching out more with our events that would be interesting to wider groups of people. So that's why we're back.
Just out of curiosity, you guys have mentioned that you maybe do some events. How many of those a year do you do, and what do they typically look like?
So far this year we put on like our biggest events were probably the Welcome Back Bash at the beginning of the year. Obviously freshman year can be kind of stressful. We wanted to welcome these new freshman students here to SDSU, give them a good night, have them feel welcome in the SDSU community. Like Lindsay mentioned, we have done a self-defense class a couple weeks ago. Tomorrow we have an upcoming meeting and we're going to be talking about some alcohol safety before Halloween, getting some awareness around with that. And some other events that we have this year, we are doing like donations for the food drive, some other like tie blankets to give to shelters, trying to get ourselves more active in the working with an SDSU community.
I will entertain a motion to approve the Hero Club Constitution.
I'm so sorry. Public comments. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the Senate tonight? I apologize for that. Moving on to committee and staff reports. Starting with myself, we met with the provost and vice provost last week. They are now undergoing their quality survey or quality initiative to get the university's accreditation. And they are interested in having a student representative on that committee. The focus of it is the student success model, essentially kind of all things involving what a student needs to succeed at SDSU. It's pretty outdated, so that's why they're working on it. This will be a roughly 2-year process. However, the student does not need to be interested in being on the committee for 2 years. They just really value that student input. So we do need a member of the Senate to sit on that. I would say I strongly encourage as the new senator at largest if you guys are interested in getting more involved, but we will appoint anyone that is interested. In addition, we have tentatively decided to have our GAF survey session, similar to what Dr. Holbeck was talking about in that reallocation, after the meeting on November 3rd. Date's not final yet, but that is something that we are looking into. Notably, that meeting would be relatively short to the best of our ability so that we can have a productive session after the meeting. And ex officios, you are welcome to come, and we encourage it if you guys are welcome, or if you guys would like to. We also have our advisor candidate. We had started with 2, and now we have 1. So I would take senator feedback on how we can continue, but my idea is to invite the candidate to our executive session so that we can talk to him and have a formal vote after that. Finance Fun Time met on Wednesday night. We had a really productive session. It was pretty late, but we got some good stuff done, and we are hoping to get an amendment drafted within the near future. On Thursday, I'll be participating in the State-a-thon dunk tank for Push Week, so if you guys would like to dunk me, you can just, that'll be on Thursday. We also met with Dr. Willis, and I met currently with Cody Bergraff about SA's involvement with the first 6 weeks of programming for incoming freshmen, and we will also finish our Senator one-on-ones this week. And a report, Vice President Sierra.
Yep, kind of sick, so like, can't hear me. We're almost wrapped up with our Senator one-on-ones. We've done a lot of meetings with Sloping the last 2 weeks. And then Faculty Senate met last week. I didn't stay the whole meeting, but they kind of did what I did stay for. We discussed some changes to the curriculum that they're looking at. And then I kind of just presented about some of our main goals we're doing, that we're looking into the bond reallocation for GAF, and our advisor search and some of those other things.
Chief of Staff Peterson. Yes, legal aid has been very popular the past couple of weeks, so that's really awesome. President Spear and I had a meeting with OSA about the executive socials. Those are happening on November 22nd. There's a lot of things in the work for that, so there will be more information coming. And also I was working with Hero to get this ex officio position in the works, and I'm really excited to see what that connection could look like if it passes tonight. And then just a reminder to please do your office hours and record them. Thank you.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Alrighty, so first I'm going to talk about the budgeting philosophy since that's up this week for voting. So I strongly encourage you, if you haven't already, to quickly read through that. We will be voting on that tonight, and that is something that we follow for the whole year, and really guides the Finance Committee and all of their decisions, as well as the Senate in terms of finances. So really encourage you to read through that and be knowledgeable of what is on that and what the priorities and stuff are, and ask any questions on that. Next, for the clubs in which we're voting on tonight, we have Robotics Club's new venture application, we have IT's new venture application, we have JTEC's new venture application. So with those 3 and all of our other ones, you'll see that I've rewritten the first page that we attached to it, kind of make it a little more explicit on what the Finance Committee's decision was on that. So if you have any questions on that, when those come up, that'd be a great time as well. So hopefully it makes it a little clearer on exactly what we are doing. All the sheets are the same except for ITEs, in which we did elect to give them $150 from the new venture fund this year. And then we also have 3 clubs for that are having their preliminary hearing tonight that we voted on October 27th, and those representatives will be here on October 27th. If you have any questions directly on those applications for those clubs, those representatives will be here on October 27th. This week, I've been doing a lot of emails and stuff with different clubs and organizations. We've set up for next finance committee meeting that we'll have Pheasants Forever and Jacks covered. For the most part, if you're wondering, with College of Engineering, we're pretty much done with all those applications. The reason there's so many at the beginning is because they were really on top of it and they all got theirs in really fast. We have a lot of non-College of Engineering ones. They're still working on getting these in. But we just got 2 of them done this last week, so Pheasants Forever and Jacks covered will be coming to the Senate soon. And then last week, the Finance Committee met with Baja SAE, their new venture and special allocation fund.
Government Affairs Chair Hunt.
Last week I attended the city council meeting. We do finally have an official opening date for Aldi here in Brookings. It's November 20th. There's a ribbon cutting ceremony at 9:30 a.m. Target is set to open in either March or April of 2026, barring any issues coming up. And then our Student Promotion Fund Committee had their first meeting on October 9th. And I also reached out to Dr. Everin Wiltsey regarding a question from the city council, and I'm going to hear back from her. Also, resolution 25-4-R is up for vote tonight regarding city, county, and municipal elections.
Communications Chair Ringenberg.
The rabbit report was sent out this morning. I also received new at-large senator headshots this morning. I sent them out to the new senators. Let me know if you didn't receive them or are having trouble accessing them. We'll be having a communications committee this week, so individuals in the committee look for an email with more information. And then we're also extending the deadline for the apparel store by 1 week. It was supposed to close tomorrow night. It'll now close next Tuesday, the 28th at midnight. So make sure to get your orders in before that, or as soon as possible if you're interested. End of report.
Diversity Liaison Alex.
Last week I attended LAS's end of Hispanic Heritage Month fiesta. This week I'll be attending the Human Rights Commission meeting at the City and Government Center in town, and then this week for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee we will be meeting this Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Please email me if it inconvenience.
Moving on to ex officios, beginning with AFA, AISA, BSA.
We're having our meeting this Thursday. It's Halloween themed, and we're just doing a whole bunch of fun games, and we have treats. And it starts at 5, and you're invited to come.
GSA.
We'll just be having our regular meeting this Wednesday, and we are preparing for our movie next week.
IRC. Thank you for your time at the table. Moving on to LASA.
We had our end of Hispanic Heritage Month event with food, and it was really good. And then this next week we have our Dia de los Muertos event. It's out of our altar soon.
RHA.
We're going to involve some more upper level housing people within some of our meetings, so we're going to have more conversations with them, all about just connecting housing together more. We're experiencing a bigger increase in the amount of other halls that are now sending representatives to our meetings, so always a great thing. I know there were some concerns about that earlier. We're planning a pumpkin carving event next week on Monday, and then we may pass some amendments, got some stuff done, helping out with soup this week. So just great things all around. End report.
United Council.
In terms of all Greek events, we had our anti-hazing speaker last Thursday. We have a new member educational meeting this Thursday. We have a fraternity sorority cookout this Sunday. And for IFC, right now we're just very focused on finalizing our budget in spring.
United Council.
We accepted 20 members into the Order of Omega Greek Honor Society, 11 of which were Pan-Hellenic women and 9 of which were fraternity men. Other than that, we have a pumpkin patch event with both sororities as well this coming Friday. Other than that, we are also working on finalizing our budget as well as looking at new speakers for the spring.
And UPC.
So I guess 2 weeks ago now, we had our Mulligan Stew and our Jack's Bingo event, and that went really well. And now this Wednesday, we're having a magician his kind of like show his summoning spirits, and he's really good, and he will be in the Bullshot Ballroom at 7 starting this Wednesday. And the report.
I'm gonna talk about hats today.
Moving on to advisors, starting with Dr. Schmidt.
Well, hard to beat that, but I'm gonna talk about hats today. So for those of you who haven't been around a while, my annual talk, just keeping in mind that the weather's starting to turn, it's getting a little colder, and we lose 50% of our heat through our head. So if you don't have a good hat, it's time to invest in a good hat. I don't wanna see you guys walking out there when it's 20 below without a hat on. So, that's it. Hero, help everyone reach optimal health. Wear a hat.
Dr. Willis.
Well, on that note, I have heard this hat speech. This is year 10.
Yeah, every year. See a lot of frozen years out there. Oh,
Good
good.
stuff. All I have to share is one, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so make sure that that message is getting out. Our volleyball program will have their game this Thursday, so show up, wear some pink, support the cause. We encourage individuals to get mammograms. Good thing to do. And then the last thing that I will say is, as we prepare for, I know that we have a first reading on amendment to bylaws, and one of the things that I've been spending a little bit of time on is doing a legal review of, if we can, legally limit campaign expenditures for candidates for Students Association. And I'm still in the process of doing some of that review, because I do want to ensure that when that comes before the Senate for a vote at your next meeting, provided you don't waive the first reading, which I would discourage you from reading on the bylaws, but provided you don't and it comes to next week's discussion, I can share more on what some of the findings are, but I do have some questions around the amendment and the limitations on speech and related. So I do know that there are other institutions that do have limits, but I cannot speak to the legality of those. They may not be legal. And so I want to ensure that I advise you appropriately as we come to discussion at the next meeting on what I see. I would encourage the body to run the amendment through your legal counsel. You have legal counsel in Station Jackson that you hire at Technical Aid. I would encourage consult with Stacia on that. I also do have a paper that I can share with you that can talk to you about that, or I can Stacia if you decide to pursue legal advice on that. But I just want to ensure that we advise incorrectly this body when it comes to the amendment of the because there have been questions about that, and this isn't the first time we've actually heard an amendment like this, and legality questions have come up multiple years, not new. So, anyway, in that review. So, with that, again, I won't advise you on how you should vote. I will just advise you on what I believe. Encourage nature on that front as well. With that, a lot of things going on, but I'll end the report back there. Oh, yes, wear a hat. Yes, wear a hat.
Are there any committees that would like to report out tonight? Senator Smith.
The Student Union Advisory Committee met this past Thursday. We reviewed the charter for the committee. And a big thing we talked about was the new matured study pods, which is one of the west entrance of the union on the ground floor. You notice that? That one's two-person accessible and also handicapped accessible. Then there's two more on the second floor. Then we also discussed how they're doing a survey of the campus to find more autism-friendly study places. And then we also talked about the union survey, which they've really been pushing this year. Every time you rent a room in the union, the person everyone will get an email from the union putting to fill out a survey. So we just keep everything up to date and report.
Senator Christoffels?
In traffic at their monthly meeting, May 1. But there's a parking traffic newsletter, so look out for that. It's in progress, kind of finishing it up. They hope to get it out to students next month. There are new signs under the RL spots that say that you will be fined $100 if you park in them. Really well to deter people from parking where they're not supposed to be. Look out for those because they'll fine $100. And then there is a new faculty late fee, which will be voted on and will be added. So faculty, if you guys park late and if you don't pay your ticket, you'll be fined $10 at the end of.
So Tuesday before last, for the first time, our accessibility task
Senator
force
Duncan?
got to meet up. Yeah, so Tuesday before last, for the first time, our accessibility task force got to meet up. And senators in attendance included myself, Senator Pulse, and Vice President Sierra. So it was an initial meeting. We got to meet some of the other people that we'll be working with on this task force, and we kind of set up some of our goals and practices that we hope to do going forward, and things that we're going to be looking for specifically, and strategies for looking for those things. So it was just a really good way to kick off, and we're planning on meeting again tomorrow. End of report.
Senator Jensen?
The Access, Opportunity, and Belonging Committee met on the 10th of October. They approved the committee charter. They had some updates to it last year, and it got approved over the summer. So that as a committee, we approved it at this meeting. There was a Student Success Network update where they talked about opportunities for students on campus to succeed and how it helps students. And then we also talked about possible subcommittees for the 25.
Senator Pulse?
The AI committee met last Thursday, and basically they submitted an AI action plan, which is considered a living document, so it will be changed as AI evolves and as we come to more conclusions about that. And then they've also added a D2L AI and teaching self-directed tutorial to the resources tab. And then one other thing is, if you are in the Honors College, you received an email from Dr. Heiberger about an AI introduction course on Coursera, and that is led by the Honors College in order to help everyone familiarize themselves with the AI.
Senator Warfa?
The Academic Affairs Committee met today, and the Department of Chemistry, Biochemistry, and Physics requests authorization to develop an MS in biochemistry for students. Some students are showing interest in that, and also it will serve as an alternate pathway for students that are able to complete their PhD to get MS in biochemistry. They also request for modification of their physics program, and then the next School of Management and Economics also requested the updation of environmental policy certificate because of low enrollment. And
Senator Roca?
So last week, UPSAC also met on Thursday, and then we had, during the meeting, we discussed about the secrets of the program where the student can participate and give feedback anonymously. And there was fundraising opportunities for NPOs and how Sodexo required signed contract, W-9, incident certificate, and contact information, and address for sending the check. And we talked about marketing and communication. And then on 23rd of this month, there is a big city bite at Jaeger. I think it's gonna be likely Chicago or New York. I forgot, but it's either one of them. And then there will soon be a Thanksgiving menu at Jaeger. And the big drop, the big bomb they said was the brown rice at Qdoba will not be served because the Qdoba itself taken it down. So we will only have white rice. So yeah. And then there is also a possibility of having a gluten-free noodles at ramen place. They are looking at it, and then the dining service survey will be out soon as well. So I appreciate if you guys fill out that form or survey. And then we talked about the increasing prices and then the flex versus the flex because you go to the vending machine and then like try to like buy something, it's like more than $3 or something like that. But Sodexo cannot do anything about it because it's by the Coke and Pepsi vendors, I believe. So it's up to them and then how they change the prices. And there, lastly, we discussed about possible introduction to the hot beverages like hot chocolates for the spring. So I will get more information on that next week, probably. Not next week, but like after the meeting, end of report.
Any other committees that would like to report out tonight? Are there any questions for any of the committees tonight? Finance Chair Delahoyd?
Like Qdoba corporate level is
Yeah.
So like no Qdoba.
Yeah.
Will have brown
Yeah.
rice.
So there will only be white rice. I know.
Any other questions for any of the reports tonight? Alright. We will move on to Heroes ex officio written request. I apologize for my preemptiveness earlier. Notably, this will require a 2/3 vote, and I will now, does anyone request that this item be read in full? Alright, then I'll open the floor for discussion. I'll entertain a movement to approve. Chief Staff Peterson. Chief Staff Peterson?
Yes, so as I said, I've been working closely with Hero the last probably month and a half, so I just encourage you all to vote yes. I think this could be a great connection that we have. You know, as you all know, we've been working on ex officio involvement, and getting more ex officios is a great way to increase involvement. So I encourage you all to vote yes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to a roll call vote. Chief Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Senator Anderson, Barnett, Bulweg, Fry, Christoffels, Derenge, Duncan, Holland, Howell, Jensen, Campson, Lopez, Mollison, Hodel, Pulse, Roca, Shemek, Smith, Stein, Warfa, Finance Chair Delahoyd, Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Vice President Sierra.
The ayes have it, and Heroes ex officio request has been approved. Moving on to unfinished business item B, the 2025-26 budgeting philosophy. Would anyone request that this item be read in full? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item. Senator Howell.
So moved. Second.
Senator Howell.
Yeah, I hope everybody took the opportunity to read this. Obviously goes through the priorities that the the Finance Committee is going to follow in thinking about the budget, and then we'll also guide the work that we do in the budgeting marathon. So things that are going to be important for decisions down the road. So I think important work to do at the beginning to set us up for success in both Finance Committee and the budgeting marathon. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about this that's not on the Finance Committee, please ask. Be happy to one of us try and answer them to the best of our ability, but appreciate everyone's diligence in reviewing this.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Point of order for the minutes, this is an approved thing through the Finance Committee, so it's not held.
That's true.
No worries.
I appreciate discussion.
No worries, roll call.
Any more discussion on this item? I apologize for my meeting order today. Chief of Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Vice President Sierra.
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Aye.
Senator Warfa. Stein. Smith.
Aye.
Schemick.
Aye.
Roca.
Aye.
Pulse.
Aye.
Paudel. Mollison. Lopez. Campson. Jensen. Howell.
Aye.
Holland. Duncan. Darren. Christoffels. Fry. Bolweg. Barnett. Anderson.
The ayes have it, and the 2025-2026 budgeting philosophy is approved. Moving on to unfinished item C, Resolution 25-4-R. Is there anyone that requests this item be read in full? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion to approve? Senator Bolweg.
Second.
Senator Bolweg.
As I said a couple weeks ago, by supporting holding elections during this period, STSU students are more likely to vote, stay engaged, and have their voice represented in city decisions that directly affect them, such as housing or public safety.
Senator Jensen.
There, let me do an amendment.
What's your proposed amendment?
That take place on the first Monday after the first Tuesday. Just that way it matches, the bill.
Would you mind highlighting that sentence? Senator Jensen, is that the sentence you're referring to?
Yes, take place on the first Monday after the first Tuesday.
The first Monday after the first Tuesday.
The first Tuesday after the first Monday.
There we
Thanks,
go.
guys.
The first Tuesday after the first Monday of November.
True.
Senator Jensen, would you mind making a formal motion for that?
I make a motion to add an amendment saying to take place on the first Tuesday after the first Tuesday, but any other discussion open as well.
Second.
Senator Jensen, you have first right to debate, but any other discussion open as well?
Just that way it matches the House Bill 1130. That way I doubt there'd be any confusion between this and the actual bill, but just in case, that way it's clear.
Further discussion on the amendment proposed. Government Affairs Chair Hunt.
I support this amendment. In the original bill language, it does say the first Tuesday after the first Monday of. So it just creates an ease of those reading it. So
Further discussion on the amendment. Seeing none, we're going to take this as a friendly amendment and do a voice vote. All those in favor of amending Resolution 25-4-R to read the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The amendment is approved. We will now return to discussion on Resolution 25-4-R in its amended version. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take this to a roll call vote. Chief of Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Senators Anderson. Barnett. Bolweg. Fry. Christoffels. Darren. Duncan. Holland. Howell. Jensen. Campson. Lopez. Mollison. Paudel. Pulse. Roca. Schemick. Smith. Stein. Warfa. Finance Chair Delahoyd. Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Vice President Sierra.
The ayes have it, and the amended version of Resolution 25-4-R is approved. All right, moving on to unfinished business, item D, Since this was from committee, it does not need a second, but I believe it needs a motion to approve. Is there a motion to approve? Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I move to approve this on behalf of the Finance Committee.
All right, Finance Chair Delahoyd, first right to debate.
So the Robotics Club came to us. They're one of those clubs that they do a lot within the College of Engineering. They're huge with always volunteering for all the different recruiting events, outreach, things like that. Within themselves, they have 3 different kind of overall like sub clubs of different robots and stuff they compete in. They go out, they travel. Their primary expenses are all coming from those travel expenses and stuff. And going to those competitions, which that is one of the primary things in which we prioritize in our budgeting philosophy. So they really do align with our budgeting philosophy and everything like that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, we will take.
Is this one a zero funded?
Yep. So as it reads on there, after discussion with the Robotics Club representative, the Finance Committee arrived at a recommendation of approving the Robotics Club's new venture application, awarding them an amount of $0 from the fiscal year 26 new venture fund. With the approval of the Senate, robotics will be placed on the general budget starting in fiscal year 27, which runs from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. The amount awarded to Robotics Club for fiscal year 27 and each fiscal year following will be decided during the general budget allocation process that takes place each spring of the next fiscal year. And that reads the same for all of them.
Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move this to a roll call vote. Chief of Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Vice President Sierra.
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Aye.
Senators Warfa.
Aye.
Stein. Smith.
Aye.
Shemmick.
Aye.
Roca.
Aye.
Pulse. Paudel. Mollison. Lopez. Campson. Jensen. Howell.
Aye.
Holland. Duncan.
Aye.
Derenge. Christoffels. Fry. Bolwig. Barnett. Anderson.
The ayes have it, and the Robotics Club New Venture Fund request is approved. Moving on to unfinished business item E, likewise with ITE's New Venture Fund application. Is there a motion to approve this? Oh, I
Point of order.
apologize.
When you guys are doing these new venture funds, Dr. Willis and I have been talking, if you are a member of the club, you probably should recuse yourself, because you do benefit from the vote, so. And if you are a member of the club, you should declare that conflict of interest also to the entire body, so during debate, that you.
Thank you for that clarification. Moving forward, is there a motion to approve ITEs? Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I move to approve it on behalf of the Finance Committee.
Finance Chair Delahoyd, first right to debate.
So the one change you'll see with ITs compared to everybody else's is they did request some funding for this year. And so that is noted in there, in which they were awarded $150 based on their request. That's coming out of our $2,500 that we have for new ventures to give to clubs this year. Fiscal year 26.
Further discussion? Senator Barnett.
What was the money here?
That's a good question.
Brief pause.
So their primary things were they want to be able to travel to the national conference. And so going to that conference was going to be about $500 per person. So one of their requests was for that. For their stuff this year, it is mainly for going to different site visits and trips where they visit different construction sites and transportation projects across the state. They want to be able to do that at little to no cost. They're paying for the different transportation fees and that go along with it. That was mainly with the $150 for this year. That's what they're going to. For their future stuff, they're really requesting that money to be able to then go to conference.
Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take this to a roll call vote. Chief Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Senator Anderson. Barnett. Bolwig. Fry. Christoffels. Derenge. Duncan. Holland. Howell. Jensen. Campson. Lopez. Mollison. Huddell. Pulse. Roca. Shemek. Smith. Stein. Warfa. Finance Chair Delahoyd. Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Vice President Zero.
The ayes have it, and the Robotics Club new venture is approved. Moving on to unfinished business item F, the JTech new venture PDF or new venture application. Is there a motion to approve? Finance Chair Delahoyd. Finance Chair Delahoyd.
So JTech reads the same as robotics with that zero funding for this year. Their primary things, what they're looking for is they have a huge conference called the Commodity Classic that they go to each year. And they want to be able to send more students to that and to be able to reduce the cost currently to students. Right now, that's a big thing. Last year, they had the highest attendance out of any college at this event where they have tons of different tractors and ag things and all the people from the industry that come there. Their other expenses included things such as the Hobo Day float, where they've won the best Hobo Day float for the last how many years in a row. And then different inspection trips as well, where they go out and they inspect different farm and equipment.
Further discussion? Seeing none? We'll take this to a roll call vote. Chief of Staff Peterson.
Vice President Zero. Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Finance Chair Delahoyd. Senators Warfa. Stein. Smith. Shemek. Roca. Pulse. Huddell. Mollison. Lopez. Campson. Jensen. Howell. Holland. Duncan. Darinch. Christoffels. Bry. Bolweg. Barnett. Anderson.
The ayes have it, and the JTech new venture application is approved. Moving on to new business, item A, amendment 25-1-A. Does anyone request that this item be read in full? Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Amendment 25-1-A.
It has been requested. Chief of Staff Peterson.
Amendment 25-1-A. Title of amendment reads, the SDSU Student Association amends its bylaws to reform election campaign finance practices and standards. Prime sponsor includes Senator Stein. Sponsors include Senators Duncan, Mollison, Howell, Barnett, Pulse, and Shemek. Whereas the Student Association holds annual elections to elect executive leadership and senators to represent the corporation, and whereas elections function best when candidates are able to amass a broad coalition of different viewpoints, perspectives, and lived experiences, and whereas these elections are designed to select the representatives most qualified and capable to advocate for and serve the student body, and whereas qualified candidates may come from any financial or social background within the corporation, and whereas excessively high spending limits may discourage otherwise qualified students from running, and whereas financial situations or hardships should in no way impact a candidate's ability to successfully run for office, and whereas the current SDSU Student Association bylaws have a campaign spending limit of $2,500, and whereas current policies allow for the possibility that candidates' financial situations may impact their ability to run an effective campaign, and whereas lowering campaign spending limits aligns with South Dakota State University's core value, opportunity for all, and whereas evidence suggests that lowering campaign spending limits for student government elections creates a higher chance for engagement, participation, and voter turnout, and whereas peer and aspirational institutions, student governments commonly have campaign spending limits of less than $600, and whereas the expectations of presidential and vice presidential campaigns and senatorial campaigns are significantly different, and as such should have campaign spending limits which reflect this difference, and whereas amending the Student Association's bylaws to establish a campaign spending limit of $500 for presidential and vice presidential candidates and $100 for senatorial candidates will increase interest in its elections and grow voter engagement and turnout. And whereas stipulating campaign donations come from individual donors increases campaign expenditure transparency to the corporation. And whereas campaign funding from multiple sources reduces the likelihood a candidate may be beholden to the interests of a single donor, And whereas specifying that no more than 50% of the monetary or fair market value of any candidate's campaign donations shall come from one individual person achieves this outcome. And whereas elections are designed to be an exchange and thoughtful discourse of ideas, not an exchange of financial or material goods. And whereas the bylaws should spell out such a sentiment. And whereas these proposed changes to the SDSU Student Association bylaws will create an equitable election process that selects the most qualified and engaged representatives. Therefore, be it amended that the SDSU Student Association bylaws regarding campaign financing read as follows. Candidates may spend up to but not exceed $500 for presidential and vice presidential campaign expenditures and $100 for senatorial campaigns, including the fair market values of any in-kind donation. Candidates shall only receive donations to their campaign from individual persons. No more than 50% of the monetary or fair market value of any candidate's campaign donations shall come from one individual person. Candidates shall not exchange financial or material goods for election votes or the promise thereof. Examples of financial or material goods may include, but are not limited to, food, money, and/or gift certificates. Campaign merchandise, including but not limited to buttons and t-shirts, shall be excluded from the stipulation. If any candidate's expenditure receipts or conduct are found to violate the stipulations and requirements contained herein, they shall be required to meet with the Student Association Senate advisors within 2 class days of discovery in order to determine appropriate subsequent actions. Such actions may include the following: no action, request formal apology from offenders, redo election, elimination of offender's ticket, or other actions deemed suitable by the grievance committee.
We will not be voting on this week. However, I will note that it needs a 2/3 vote, and I will open the floor for discussion. Senator Stein.
I would like to, as it has been read now, I would like everybody to do their own research, look into this. Lots of thought has been put into it, and I think this is going to be something good that will better the student body. As kind of noted in here above, there has been research that shows if you lower your campaign spending limits, you get a higher voter turnout as well as more people interested, which, as some of you may know, has been my main goal this senatorial, I guess, semester, because I'm gonna be gone in the spring and you never know if you're gonna be here when you're a senior. So my goal is to get more people interested, more people out there, and hopefully, if anything, if we don't get people sitting at this table, we get them voting and voicing their opinion. With that being said, I encourage each and every one of you to reach out to me or any of the other sponsors and have a conversation. If you have questions, I would love to hear them. I would love to try and answer them. And even if you have a problem with it or something you have a question of, I would also encourage any negative feedback as well. On that note, I am working with our legal team in contact with the student's lawyer to ensure that this does follow all of the guidelines that it is supposed to. If something comes up in the event that it does, it'll be addressed at the time, but I'm not pursuing it.
I'd like to ask a question of Dr. Willis.
Further discussion?
In your review,
Senator Howell.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question of Dr. Willis. In your review, I guess, what specific portions of it draw questions of legality, and I guess, what are the pain points that you see, just for transparency for everyone?
And so for full transparency, it looks like last year there was an amendment that was passed by this body to limit the campaign expenditure to $2,500. That happened while I was out on medical leave, and I wasn't actively advising the Students Association. My colleague, Dr. Green, was doing that. So seeing that is a surprise to me, because in the past, so in 2024 and then in 2020, had these similar conversations, and so there is legal precedent now that talks about limitations on campaign financing at a public university or a students association, similar type of body, can limit First Amendment rights, and that is typically what is cited in case law on the state. So that's the particular spot that I'm seeing right now in terms of the conflict. And again, had I been advising Students Association last year, unfortunately, out of reasons, I would have brought the same concerns forward. Dollar limit, but there is quite a bit of case law going all the way to the Supreme Court about limitations on campaign in finding us as a violation. Now, there's some conflicts in the two. So there are some cases that say something different, but the overwhelming majority of the case law on most of the things being a violation. So, really setting a limit. And then there was another component in here. It talks about particularly setting the limit has its basis in fairness. That's really problematic language, and there is a little bit of that in that is specifically called out. So that's that again, council will review that as well. Yes.
Senator Burnett.
I have a little bit of a follow-up question for Dr. Lewis, and I don't know if maybe this is like a better like legal representation question. But I guess like how I'm like seeing it is like by lowering it, you're gonna increase the number of people who have a voice at the table, thus like encouraging free speech and like seeing an increase in like the ability to exercise free speech because you no longer have like that financial hindrance. So I guess my question for you is like how is that like does my question make sense?
So I'm simply citing case law that went through the legal system when it was challenged, when students associations have set limits. Again, that's all that I'm citing. You guys have to make an informed decision on what risk you're willing to live with in terms of this. And again, I would encourage you to engage in legal counsel. Like Senator Stein has talked about, she's engaging legal counsel. You guys really should do that.
Yeah, kind of to answer that question from Senator.
Senator Anderson.
Yeah, kind of to answer that question from Senator Burnett. If I'm campaigning and I'm really pushing for something, who's to say my speech gets to stop after I spend $500, right? I can't do any more. I can't make any more signs after I spend $500. Can't make any more buttons after I spend $500. So that's where it kind of gets into the First Amendment. I also have some problems with this amendment, particularly that second amended clause where it says candidates shall not exchange financial material goods for election votes or promise thereof. Then it mentions some other stuff. It says you can't use food, but you can use campaign merchandise. So there's a little bit of gray area there. If my food, let's say I get donuts, but I get them custom made to say Ben Anderson for Senate, does that count as campaign merchandise? Can I push that forward? So I think food is an interesting one to limit. I think giving out money and gift certificates, yeah, that's bribery. Food is interesting in a gray area. I think this needs to be worked on. And I wouldn't be ready to vote yes on it next week.
Finance Chair Delahoy.
Senator Stein, can I just make the request that whatever legal advice we get back, that's just shared with everybody, so we all know the risks?
Absolutely.
Further discussion? Chief Staff Peterson.
Yes, one moment. I would like to thank you for working hard on this. I really appreciate it. I think there are definitely a lot of really good things in here that can cause really good effects, but also I think there are some good things in here that we can have really good conversations about. As everyone said before, I encourage everyone to look through this, read through it, ask questions, because it is a bylaws amendment, which is kind of scary sometimes. It doesn't have to be scary. I guess my main concern is I don't understand how cutting the how limiting the expenditures will increase voter turnout. In my mind, the correlation doesn't make sense. How spending less is going to increase voter turnout. I know that in the past, voter turnout has been a really big issue, and we've tried and tried and tried to get more people to vote. And so I guess in my brain, I just don't understand how that will exactly increase the turnout.
Okay, so within the research that I've found to answer your question, it's kind of a trifold process. So by reducing your spending limit, you're going to have more people interested in Students Association as well as more people running. When you have more people running, you have more students from the student body entirely who know about the elections, who are going to be interested in the elections, and then therefore your student voter turnout goes up. It doesn't strictly just go up by reducing that spending limit, but it goes up by encouraging more students to run. And then with more students running, there's more competition. With more competition, there's going to be more people voting.
Senator Bollig.
I'm a little torn on it still. I definitely need some more information, maybe like an amendment to the amendment would be possibly out there, but I feel like the proposed limits would favor candidates with the existing name recognition already out there or the social connections they've made rather than those willing to work hard how you want to build their support. You don't want that to be the case necessarily. So dropping the number from 2,500 to 500, people with the name recognition might be helped, even though your point of this amendment is to get more people to do it, get out there. I just don't want that to be the case.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Similar with your research, have you talked to students like on campus and stuff? What kind of, have you talked to anybody, gotten any feedback on what their thing was they would maybe considering running if it happened?
I've talked to a few students. I cannot speak for the student body as a whole as the reach has not been very far. The students I have talked to and have been informed about this are encouraging of it just because they would then maybe encourage maybe themselves, if not directly themselves, then maybe their friends or their younger siblings. It's going to be a chain effect no matter what. I do think that if we can get the word out is going to be the biggest thing. If this passes and if we can have this become part of our bylaws, the next step to that would be letting the rest of the student body know, because realistically, nobody's going to really read our agenda or anything realistic here. So if this passes, if we can get that communication out, then maybe from there on, more students will then take out petitions or run for seats.
Senator Anderson.
To that point, I think the idea that lowering spending on elections will increase participation is kind of interesting. I didn't spend $1 on my campaign. I don't think a lot of the senators here did. I think there's just a lack of interest generally for running for these positions. I don't think that limiting spending would change the amount of people we have looking and not looking. Also, for presidential campaigns that would spend a lot, more people are going to hear about SA. They're going to be engaged with the body if they're getting promoted to by a large amount of money. More advertising is better recognition. That would go for the entire body, not just with the election series as well. So it's just something to add.
I'll say for the most part, I agree with what's on. The only issue I have is
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Yeah, I'll say for the most part, I agree with what's on here. The only issue I have is we go with the idea of we wanted to make it equal for everybody regardless of their background, regardless of anything, not have any limits. But then we go and we say that candidates can only receive donations from an individual person. So in my mind, that results in us only receiving from people that we know, and that goes almost back into our background, who we know and stuff, rather than if you're running for president, you go and you talk to like a business or something, and they want to donate. Usually it's the business donating, not the individual person. And so I feel like that could make it maybe a barrier for somebody if they don't know anybody that's wealthy that would like to donate to their campaign or anything. I just feel like that might contradict itself with going back on it, but other than that.
I'll try and answer a couple questions here, and some of you around this table know that
Senator Howell.
I would have. Yeah, I at one point I'll try and answer a couple questions here, and some of you around this table know that I would have been in a campaign at one point for Vice President of the Students Association, so probably have a little more intimate knowledge of some of these things, but I think to address some of Senator Anderson's concerns, yeah, I think we're all smart enough to recognize that there is a little bit of a difference in that spending, and that's reflected here in those senatorial campaigns versus, somebody running for president or vice president of the Students Association. So yeah, I think, that's probably pretty commonplace for people to spend no money on senatorial campaigns. But I'll say in my experience with those that are going to be on the general tickets with vice presidents and presidents, in my experience, which is limited in comparison to some others, those expenses are adding up really quickly, right? So I think to your question of, if we reach $500, can't print any more buttons, can't make any more flyers, I'll be completely honest, it doesn't matter how many buttons or flyers get printed, you're not gonna reach that $500. It's all this other stuff that's addressed that's causing folks to go in excess of that. So I don't think there's a concern of, will we be able to advertise? For me, I don't see that as a problem. I respect anybody's different view on that. But I also think, it comes down to, I think this is a systemic issue that we have to do a little bit better job at. And, I think everybody needs to take a little ownership in trying to get more engagement in student association. And I'm not going to say this is the exact right way to do it, right? I think there's many approaches. But I think, one, this is something that should be weighed. And regardless of whether we're going to vote to approve this or not, it does appear that we need to take some look at the bylaws, right? Because right now, if legal counsel is to say that $2,500 is unconstitutional, is in violation of First Amendment rights, right? This is going to need a bylaws amendment as well. So what I would also encourage is folks to kind of comb through this. I think that's one of my goals. I'm only here for a short time longer, but I do think some of our policies, procedures, and the bylaws and Constitution especially are dated. So I think it's going to be our responsibility to try and address some of those things, because I think it's easy, and I've been part of it, it's easy for us to kick this down the road, right? Groupthink, somebody else will fix this next year. So I think having this discussion and dialogue, at the end of the day, I want whatever is best for this body and whatever is everybody is agreed on, whether that's my opinion or not. I think important discussion about this is good to help drive this body forward. So I encourage that open exchange of ideas. What I would also encourage is, if you have ideas about how to make this better, or certain parts that you don't agree with, I would just ask that we don't wait until next Monday to try and bring those up. This is a living document that can be worked on. What I don't want next Monday is for us to have, 25 amendments. Well, I obviously respect the democratic process of that, but I think if we try and do that, before this meeting, it's going to be a lot more efficient, and we can have more conversations without the confine of standard rules of debate. So I would ask that everybody kind of look into it, put your 2 cents in, suggest maybe amendments before this comes as a final version to the floor, because I think that will save us a lot of time here at a Senate meeting. We'll have a better idea of where we stand after that share of ideas. So, kind of answer some questions and ask some questions of the group as well. So, yeah, thank everybody for their time and diligence in reviewing this before next Monday.
Senator Duncan.
Yeah, just to kind of add off of what Carter has said, and I guess sort of an answer to what Senator Anderson brought up, I'd like to draw attention to the examples of financial and material goods that we put in this, and the campaign merchandise. Our general thought behind this was, there is a difference between giving someone a t-shirt or a button and saying, hey, vote for Senator Duncan, or, vote for me for whatever. And, holding out a t-shirt, a button, a piece of, pizza or donut or whatever, and say, if you pull up the voter thing right now and you vote for Senator Duncan, I'll give you a donut, or I'll give you a t-shirt. What we're trying to do is just improve our bylaws to make sure people know they can't set up a stand like that. We don't care if you hand out t-shirts or hand out donuts or whatever. We do care if you don't let them have that unless they pull it up and vote for you right then and there. Now, I would like to also just say, my platform this semester, this is my last semester here. I'm graduating in December. What I want to do before I go is I want to improve accessibility for our students. I want to make sure that every student can look at our bylaws and see, oh, the spending limit is $500 instead of $2,500. Someone who's new to this process might look at that and think, oh, everybody's going to be spending up to $2,500. I can't afford that. I can't afford to go that high. I don't want to do it. I want to make sure that everyone thinks that they have a chance to really be in the game, to make a difference. And yes, I do agree with the sentiments expressed earlier that, that lowering the spending limit will encourage more people to run, which in turn increases knowledge and increases awareness of this happening on campus. Someone will see that, oh, my friend Mackenzie Duncan is running for this. I wonder what will happen, and they'll become interested in Senate. I do think it can raise awareness, and we've worked really, really hard on this bill. We've done a lot of research. We've invested considerable time and effort into making sure that this is the best bill that we can make it. And we are going through the process to make sure that this is clear legally. So I would encourage you all, if you have any questions, come to Lydia, come to one of us, give us your questions before Monday, please. We can and we will do our very best to answer them. But I look forward to discussing this on Monday. Thank you very much.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
So with how Carter was saying with it being a live document, amendments are made and stuff between now and next Monday. How are those normally, I guess more a policy question, how are those normally marked so that senators can easily see like what's been changed? We have to change them.
Yeah.
Can't change it.
We, like, this is already been, so you can't do it. The only way to change it now is to.
We have to have a big amendment.
what gets really messy is when.
So were you trying to get at have one amendment instead of just five?
Well, either one amendment, or what gets really messy is when people aren't really sure what exactly they want to amend. So if you have an idea of, hey, I know I want to amend this, and, I'm not saying you need to have a, written out document of how exactly you want to say it, but I think having a general idea rather than just trying to like pick and choose when we're in discussion Monday would just speed up the process. Yeah, obviously this has been submitted, and is in the first reading, and then we'll go to second reading and would have the ability to be amended on the floor, but I just think having a little preparation there would save a lot of time.
Senator Stein.
Just to wrap this up, I would like to encourage everybody one more time to please, please, please reach out with me with questions, concerns, anything of the sort. I would love to meet with anybody in person if that would be something that would be requested. I can also do email. I'm available most hours of the day. So on that note, I love the discussion. I'm very glad we are talking this through. I think what everybody has said here is important and is worth addressing. I would like to personally address that. So please, again, reach out to me and I would love to have a chat.
Dr. Willis.
I'll just have one point of clarification. The other piece that I am concerned about, in addition to just setting is under that first section, restricting it to only individual persons, restricting how much an individual donate freedom of expression. Then you are actually eliminating liability around members' ability to get money. That is the limits there for Amendment case. So that is a piece I think brought up as just a question mark for them, but actually including language in specific says only individual persons donate, only individual. There's some questions in there as well. So I would exercise caution, and again, all of that is how much risk does this body take to have a legal challenge that will cost you money. So that's really the question when you consider.
Senator Christopoulos.
Going along with that, I think another concern I have, and just something that could possibly get the ball rolling on Monday if you guys are looking at some sort of amendment to it, is the limitation on in-kind donations. Like you guys are saying, you guys are really stressing that it's super important for like everybody to be able to try and run positions. And I think getting in-kind donations is strictly like has to do with how much effort. I think if you're able to get out there, make connections with businesses, if you're able to get donations to your campaign, it shows that you're willing to put in effort, which I think anybody can do regardless of how much. So I think it's important to possibly look at maybe changing that to not limit.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on this next week. Again, I would like to note that it will take a 2/3 vote. Moving on to new business, item B, Aerospace Club New Venture and their aerospace funding presentation, I'm assuming. We will vote on this next week, so I'm just gonna formally open up the floor to discussion. Finance Chair Delahoy.
So this was unanimously passed by to approve it. You'll see there's two documents on there. To not get confused, the document is attached twice, both to the special allocation and new venture. It's just a general document that talks about aerospace clubs, so if you're a little confused on why that's on there twice in the agenda, that is why. So if you're interested in what exactly that all funds and the breakdown, they provide a very nice breakdown of that. They're basically like 5 clubs in one that they took within the College of Engineering. They kind of all brought together. But they're 5 very expensive clubs. So you will notice that they are requesting for $55,000, which is a lot of money. Doesn't mean with the approval of this, we're giving them or anything, that money would still be allocated in the future. But with that, some of the clubs they include is the Aerospace Club, which is the rocket team. So that includes them going out and launching rockets. It also includes the NASA rovers that you've maybe seen in a lot of the SDSU promotional stuff. They like to use those pictures all the time. And then also an honor society. So there's just several different clubs that they've kind of brought into one. And if you have more questions about exact funding and stuff, those are all in that document attached to it. This is one that they approved, that the Finance Committee approved to have as a zero fund, just like the others.
Further discussion on Aerospace Club? We'll move on to unfinished. I would like to have a friendly amendment or friendly agenda since Finance Chair Delahoy already talked aero club spaces, special allocation, and new venture. I'm going to open the floor for discussion, but if there's any clarification needed, otherwise I'll just move straight on. Finance Chair Delahoy.
I will briefly talk about their special allocation, just because that is a little bit different. We have not seen one of those come through the Senate yet. With that, our special allocation fund has $8,500 in it that we allocated from the previous year. They are requesting $4,700. That is not the amount in which we approved for. We voted to be able to give them $2,500. So that is something that will come next week. That is money that directly goes to them for this year. Out of that special allocation fund of $8,500, that's about 30% of our total budget for that. That's money to simply get them off the ground and going with some of those clubs that are new. So while their NASA teams have been going for a couple years, their rocketry teams are brand new. So that's going to help them get some of those certifications and stuff they need. But just to know that that is a different application they've not really seen yet from a different one of our funds that we have here. So if you have any questions about special allocation, different stuff,
Thank you for making that clarification. Are there further discussions? All right, we'll move on to new business. Agenda item D, Bioethics Society New Venture. Again, I'll open the floor for discussion. Finance Chair Delahoy.
This is a new club that we just approved earlier in the year. So if you remember, Gunnar Gunderson came and he talked about them real quick. They just talk about different aspects of ethics within the field of healthcare and biology, and they just talk about that. Main reason for their new venture request, they want to be able to bring in some speakers and to have some of those different events and stuff. So that's what their stuff's for, mainly around speakers.
Further discussion? Alrighty, our last item of new business is the Baja SAE New Venture. Open for discussion. Finance Chair Delahoy.
Alright, last one. Sorry, guys. Baja, simply, they're just one of the cars that we have. They're the off-road little dune buggy one within the College of Engineering. So they're a club that historically has been running kind of a deficit. And so they're looking at other avenues for this. They currently do a lot of fundraising and stuff. They do get a lot of donations from private places. They're just looking to get more funding to be able to do things with their car. And they've kind of expressed that as the number of clubs in the College of Engineering increases, overall, that their money they're receiving from the college is decreasing because of that total number of clubs increasing. So they're needing some additional funding. And we currently have a quarter scale tractor and the Formula One car on our budget, and they kind of just fit within that whole thing. So it was kind of a no-brainer for the finance committee to be able to add them since we already have them.
Further discussion? All right, we'll move on to topics for future discussion. Are there any topics for future discussion?
Next week is our Halloween meeting, so please.
Seeing none, we'll move on to announcements, quickly starting with my own. Next week is our Halloween meeting, so please wear a Halloween costume, as we will have a competition for who's best dressed. And we had some really good costumes last year. We had Guy Fieri join us in our Senate meeting. It was amazing to meet such a famous person. So please dress up, as I love Halloween and I would love to see everyone's costumes. Other announcements that are not related to next week's meeting. Senator Bolwig.
Just a friendly, unfriendly reminder, it is hate week, so no green this week. And, yeah, all I have.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief of Staff Peterson. I said that in my head.
I would like to congratulate Senator Mollison on her engagement.
Congratulations. Senator Duncan.
It's just going to jump off of what Senator Bolwig said. As drum major of the Pride of the Dakotas, I will be instituting a reverse version of St. Patrick's Day. From here, henceforth, anyone who wears green will get pinched.
Quickly, I would like to note you will see the Student Association executive team on the sideline for that game, as long ago the Student Association was one of the founders of the Dakota Marker, and while we do not have the Dakota Marker this year to guard, trust me, next year it'll be in our possession. So, any further announcements? All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Stein? All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? We are adjourned. How long was it?
I don't know. I think this is the time for I have never audited Halloween.